Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today I'm going to give you three things that are blocking you from connecting with your higher guides. These are things that I wish I had known earlier when I was on my journey and would have helped to make these incredibly valuable connections sooner. Stay right to the end. The last one will surprise you. Let's get right into it. So, for those of you who don't know who have just met me, my name is Ifti, and this channel is all about exploring the realms of spirituality, higher guides, and sharper intuition. The first one here is substances. Yes, smoking weed every day, which I was doing for a very long time, or if you're like some others, drinking regularly can diminish the effect and the connections you're able to make with your higher guides. These substances tend to vibrate at a much lower level. Marijuana, for example, vibrates on the level of neutrality. I've talked about this on the channel before, and it's mentioned in the book Power versus Force, where certain substances, like cannabis, vibrate at the level of neutrality. They're not considered bad or extremely elevating when it comes to your vibration. Now, when you want to make really strong connections with your higher guides, think of your connection between you and them as always being there, like a telephone wire. Like the connection's always there. They're just waiting for the next strong signal from you to make that connection. These higher guides reside in the higher realms beyond the fifth dimension and in the fifth dimension, and are able to make these connections when they lower their frequency to a certain level and match our frequency when we're raising it to a certain level. That is what creates the strongest connections. Now, in addition to vibrating on the level of neutrality, alcohol, for example, can also send you down into the lower vibrational states. It's known as a depressant. You may feel great after you have a drink, but afterwards you will be in a much lower vibration, especially if you all have ever been hungover, you know what I'm talking about. And there is no way you're going to be able to make a really strong connection with your higher guides when you're in sort of a hangover state. Now, speaking of low vibration substances, the second one is just a general low vibration. If you dwell in the emotions of fear, anxiety, guilt, you've been watching too much CNN or Fox News, you're going to be vibrating at a lower level. I mean, there's many other mindsets associated with a low vibration frequency, but if you're trying to make these connections with your higher guides, it starts with walking the path, finding your life's purpose. When you start exploring the depths of what your personality holds, the person you're supposed to be, the purpose and the things you're supposed to do, don't worry, my friends, your higher guides have noticed. And if you're dwelling in these lower energy states, I suggest starting with something small, like daily meditations. And there's a ton of these available on YouTube. One of the ones that I really enjoy is by YouTube's Aaron Doughty, who has a Raise Your Dominant Vibration meditation, which I started doing when I first started going on this path and helped me a lot in raising my vibration and beginning to make these connections with my higher guides. Your higher guides, when living in this other dimension, higher realms, are going to attempt to lower their vibration or lower their frequency, I should say, to be able to match yours and actually make a strong connection. And oftentimes, when they do make the connection, it'll come across as a feeling through your heart, an inner knowing, or it could even be an inner voice in your head, but it may not be the sort of connection like you see with Bashar and other channelers who have been doing it for a very long time and have elevated their vibration to a certain state. Now, the last one here is pineal gland calcification. Your pineal gland is a small, tiny, almost looks like a rice grain, sort of acorn shaped actually, but the size of a rice grain, sits in the middle of your brain. It is known as your third eye, or in Eastern philosophy, your crown chakra. This is sort of your radio antenna to higher realms and higher dimensions, the fifth dimension. It's funny, when I was going through medical school to be a paramedic, they in detail explained every aspect of the brain for its function, what it was meant to do, except the pineal gland, where they just mentioned that there isn't enough research done on it yet. But of course, as we know from people who've studied Eastern philosophy, who are into metaphysics, who are into the realms of spirituality, you don't need to look far to realize that the pineal gland is one of the most important organs in the body. And your brain is a radio receiver transmitter, and the mind doesn't live in the brain like most people would think. I'll plug another video where I talked about where the origin of the mind is. And actually, what's more interesting than that is the substances that we unknowingly consume that actually calcify the pineal gland. These substances, for example, like heavy metals, fluoride, are in our food, in our water, in our toothpaste. And I've had many arguments with my dentist on this that I'll never win. I use a fluoride free toothpaste that has worked for me for almost a decade. I have no cavities. And unknown to my dentist, who thinks I'm using fluoride toothpaste, I actually, yeah, I've been using fluoride toothpaste for a very long time. And there's plenty of research out there that suggests that fluoride with, good dental hygiene is not even needed. Of course, the negatives of using fluoride would be you're ingesting it in small amounts, and that's calcifying your pineal gland. It's actually depositing minerals around your pineal gland, hardening it, and sort of closing off this radio receiver third eye that you have. That's incredibly valuable for tuning into your noetic or psychic abilities, connecting with these higher guides. Of course, our water as well. Everybody, all these municipalities putting fluoride in their water. First thing I did when I moved into this home is I went and bought under the sink filter system that would remove all the heavy metals and the fluoride and everything. And I've been doing that for a very long time. Even when I was younger and, working as a paramedic in remote towns, I would always buy spring water because I wanted to make sure I was keeping that fluoride out of my body, keeping those heavy metals out of my body. People talk about the pineal gland on YouTube, in terms of the third eye, the mind's eye, decalcification. But one of the things I've also found that worked with that was drinking some lemon water every morning. Lemon water is very valuable in that sense and has an ability to actually decalcify your pineal gland once you've detoxed off that fluoride. Try it out. You'll find that once you do this, you might start having crazy dreams. You might sense a deeper intuition coming up. I hope you'll be able to make these connections with your higher guides as well. Let me know down in the comments below, have you gone through this process? Have you tried some of these things that I've already talked about? And how have you made connections with your higher guides? I'm really curious to know. Until next time, friends, peace.